Big thanks to Burnhard for sponsoring this episode.
I dry aged the whole New York strip in barbecue rub. Does it make sense? Let's find out. This might look like an ordinary but beautiful and delicious New York strip roast, but it really isn't. This New York strip roast had a special treatment. This is a whole New York strip and I'm gonna cut it in half. It has a beautiful fat cap and beautiful dark red meat. To find out if I could enhance the flavors on these beautiful roasts, I seasoned one of them with barbecue rub. And this is my classic PitmasterX barbecue rub, for which you can find a recipe on pitmasterx.com. The link's down below. Of course, I seasoned it all over and then I placed it on a rack side by side with the reference steak. Then I put it in my dry aging cabinet and let it sit there for 7 whole days. The smell alone on this beautiful roast is absolutely freaking insane. It screams barbecue. It's bright and you just get an instant feel of hunger and you want to eat. And that's a good sign. If just 10% of that experience went into this steak, it's gonna be a success. But there's only one way to find out. Let's take this into the barbecue kitchen and open it up. I'm gonna start by carving off the pellicle on the outside carefully with a long carving knife. And what I'm looking for is to get down to the red meat, trimming off the outside. Look at that, exposing that beautiful red meat. And it almost looks like a shame, but with a pellicle like this, your strip loin will taste way better without that pellicle. And of course I want to keep some of that fat cap on, so I'm gonna cut that fat cap in half, getting rid of the part that goes with the pellicle, keeping about half of it. Now I'm gonna cut off the front and end pellicle, a little bit more. That looks really good. To let this roast cook evenly, I'm gonna truss it up. That's gonna make a round shape on the roast and it's gonna ensure we're gonna cook it in the best way possible. Keep in mind that all this time I have a reference steak that I'm treating in the exact same way, except for the barbecue rub. These two roasts look almost exactly the same. Of course, the difference is the barbecue rub on it for 7 days in a dry aging cabinet. And I'm really curious to find out if we can distinguish the flavor profile on these rib roasts. So let's fire up the Burnhard smoker and find out. I'm gonna set it to 150 degrees Celsius. So we get a beautiful roasting effect. I'm going to set them in the center of the barbecue, and both of them are getting their individual thermometer probe because they are different in size and therefore they're going to be done in a different moment in time. And the beater block is going to send all of the information that comes from the thermometer to my phone so I can keep track on the core temperature. I'm looking for a core temperature of 54 degrees Celsius. The New York strip is ready and should be taken off the fire now. Of course it says 50 degrees Celsius, but with the resting period in mind, it's going to raise up a little further and it should raise to a temperature of 54 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, I can just pick this up with my hands, no problem. Set it down on the board and I'm going to close the lid because my larger roast still needs 18 minutes of cooking. And this one's done as well. I'm looking at these two New York strip roasts and I'm looking at the difference between them, and besides the obvious that one is a little bit bigger than the other, I seem to not be able to detect any difference. I can't smell a difference, I can't see the difference. They're both beautifully smoked. That's why we got that red color and a little bit of browning on the fat cap, and they became absolutely beautiful and juicy on the outside. So let's do that side-by-side comparison and start with the reference steak. It's been cooked to perfection, looks absolutely delicious. There we go. Oh wait, we don't have salt on this one. Because the roast that has barbecue rub on it, it's already seasoned, and this one has absolutely no seasoning, so that's kind of an unfair advantage, and I like to enjoy it properly. So there we go. Freaking delicious. New York strip roast. Now let's try the barbecue rub version. All kinds of things happening here. I do want to add a little bit of salt to it. It's kind of good, but it's not great. I'm going to be totally honest. It kind of like adding barbecue flavors to it, well, makes it more tasty in a sense that it triggers more taste bud. Let's put it that way. But having the natural roast is way, way better. Had to be done. I'm sticking to the old-fashioned version of just a little bit of salt, just a little bit of dry aging, and overall a beautiful product. Yeah.